I am Willbroad Mastai. I took my studies in theology for about 8.5 years. After that, I undertook a course on social work for postgraduate diploma, followed by a master's degree at University of Salaam in sociology. But very spicy was my course in International Master's Diaconia Management from Bethel University. And I've been in this career for over 20 years of service already.
Kila aliye kwenye eneo la fellowship maalum ajulikane. Kila mahitaji maalum yaliyoko mle yajulikane.
Right now, I still serve as a parish pastor, the position that I have served, as I just said, for 20 years. But in this particular parish, KKKT Kimara, this is my 11th year of service or ministry in this parish. And I'm also serving as Naibu Katibu Mkuu at the headquarters office.
Can you tell us a little bit about your vision for your congregation here in Kimara, especially in the area of Diaconia?
Diaconia work is supposed to be part and parcel of our faith. It is meant to be faith in action. Faith comes by hearing the word of God, but then after we have heard the word and we have believed, that word has to be followed by our actions. Our actions are meant to be a reflection of our faith. Some people put in different wording that they say actions are the fifth gospel. We have 4 gospels, the gospel according to St. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But actions based on that very belief in God is the 5th gospel. And this one is easily readable. You don't need even to convince people so much or force them into listening to what you have to say. It just takes its own course on its own ground and level. So that being what Diaconia is perceived as of, me personally have been passionate of being committed to that. It's what the Lord himself has commanded. He said, on the judgment day, he will ask us, I came to you thirsty. You never quenched my thirst by giving me water. I came to you naked. You never dressed me up, and so on and so forth. So if you read between the lines of the Bible, you'll come to realize that we have been called not just to believe and enjoy the comfort of that faith, but there are also labors for which you have been called for. And responding to that means diaconia. Diaconia is a means upon which the church comes out of its 4 walls and comes to the public platform or avenue, addressing the public agenda or challenges that are out there. And this way, the church touches the life of its significant stakeholders. And by so doing, the church is, it's transforming and spreading the good news of the gospel. That is what my heart burns for. In my life here in this parish, I've been appropriating and championing for not just believing, not just singing, praising the Lord, preaching, teaching, praying for one another, but we also have to be action-oriented, touch the life of those who are there, to have their life touched, transformed, and brought to light, and even divine promises.
Can you tell us how the International Diaconia Master Program that you did in Bethel influenced this vision in Diaconia?
It is true, all along down the line through my ministry and discipleship, I've known that wherever church is, there have to be faith in action. If you look back into the historicity, when the missionaries come this way, they came with 3 things. They built churches, they built schools, they built hospitals. This is what is referred to as a holistic ministry. The ministry of the church has to be holistic. It means you need to serve people spiritually, you need to serve them intellectually, or focusing into their mental faculties, fighting the ignorance, but you need also to have factored in the issue of their health. And therefore, these three things complement one another. But again, if you look back, somehow, somewhere, I think we lost a track. And enrolled, engaged, ordained, my attentions were not so much into this agenda. In the church, I had to fulfill my calling and my role that is stipulated in my job description. But again, as any other person, I have my own personal lifelong agendas. I need to have a good house for my family, good car maybe, these kind of things. So I think my life was somewhat pegged down into just the functional part of my ministry and then my private life part. I have to be very, very modest. When I was engaged into this Diaconia course, everything changed so drastically. I don't know how everyone perceived what was rendered in the course, but I was transformed. And this is not good of talking. I'm just trying to be as honest as honesty itself. Because a lot was being pumped into us as students. And different people from different contexts, different worldview of life and service to God and people were given opportunities to come and lecture to us, and then giving us their experiences, their own personal convictions. And if you go to the house of the children there, I have the picture of my professor, Professor Martin Busher. I can well recollect someday he came and he was speaking about us forgetting to save ourselves, instead save others. And he said, if you always are in need, you want this and that and that and that and that, you are never contented. You buy this car, next morning you want another car, you'll never have a room for the life of other people who are there to be pulled up from the miseries by your hands, and you have been given the position by grace, but solely not meant for your own personal use, but for those other people as well. So I'm just making a reference to some of the bombs that were being dropped on us. And then, when I get back from, you see, it was a modular kind of system. Now I started searching in myself, where do I start from? What am I going to do? What kind of an account am I going to give? It is after that we embark on addressing, taking care of children with no identities. A service that I think appears only in this parish, in our church. It must be somewhere in other churches, but I believe in our Lutheran church, probably we are the only parish taking charge over this particular need. But it's just something of being honest. I think this all came with this course. This wasn't my thing. It wasn't. I had the hospital, I had the school, yes. I had the parish that grows in quantities and qualities, yes. Those were all there. But right now, we have that house for children. Now we are thinking of house for elderly people. And then we're also thinking for an institution for the blind and the deaf, where they can get skills required for them to be able to curb and arrest their challenges. This all came with this Diaconia thing. Not only that, as a parish, we have been able in the past, after my course, we have been able to give offerings of over 300 million shillings. We have been giving money to our national hospital, to our National Cancer Institute, At one point, we took something of about 50 million shillings. 50 million shillings is quite some significant amount of money. But it all came with this cost. We have a school just nearby, bordering our property here, and we put something into a tune of 90 million shillings. That's a public school. The government means money. But in this course, we were deeply rooted into looking into the stakeholders, addressing the challenges, and investing into your stakeholders, win them, and that way, you are diaconia oriented. So I think a lot has radiated and emanated from our life into the life of others after this diaconia thing. But before that, no, I had no idea.
What have you done so far to implement this vision here in your congregation?
So as I said, right now we have a house for the children. As in any other country in the world, there are challenges in this country. That there are some reckless mothers because of so many variegated reasons. Some of them throw out their children. Some of them abandon the children in hospitals. Some of them go by the police post nearby, drop a child there. Some of them wherever else. And so we said, we will invest into taking care of these children. And right now we have 24 of them in number. These children were being brought in by the government agencies from different parts of this country. When the police or when the kids are picked up, they are usually taken to the police. The police will call to the social work officers, and then social work people now know there is a home for this kind of children called Jerusalem, Home of God's Love for Children. This is a big investment of 6-story structure with a capacity of full-fledged is going to be about 600 children. And so people contribute to build their house in the same passion and calling for diaconia. And then right now we are putting many more other commercial units for the sustainability of the same. We have built a school whereby we cater for the needs of several orphans, plus the children of this home. And the reason for which we have had this school is that we knew having this house will need also a school where these kids can get their education. So about if you have the house for the children and then you have to go out around there and look for the school and pay for the school fees there and there and there, that would have been complicated. But yet again, as I said before, that as a church you always need a hospital. Not only for us as members of this community, not even only for these children, for whoever else that at any point in time will be in need. The church place is even safer. So we thought it is again our calling to put up a hospital. Not just a hospital, some quality and matched thing. We say it has to be a hospital whereby when the president of our country is sick, instead of he or she thinking of where to go be treated out there, should consider coming to be treated in our hospital. So our dream is big, and we're into that. But it all goes down in the name of diaconia. And I cannot say less about how the cause has contributed into shaping some passion that has been in my heart and bringing in some new insight that has never been. Yeah, that's that.
So how are you motivating the congregation to engage in this diaconia work?
It's not easy. Motivate means envision them, means bring them into your ground, make them see what you see, understand what you understand, believe what you believe. This is something of some graduality. It's a gradual process, but it takes credibility, integrity, but you really have to mean what you say. If you tell people something, they need to come and see that what you did tell them has been realized. You don't say this, you don't preach water and drink wine with this kind of communities, because people will never be behind you. I have told them we will do this, and we can, and this is here to be done, and we stand to do it, and we have delivered. So next time I'm coming with another agenda, they say yes, people need to be trusted. Trust cannot be just given like a gift, you have to earn it from people, and it's an expensive kind of an undertaking to win the hearts of people. That's only when people can, you can convince people, and you can get them to do what ought to be done by they themselves. Is until your credibility and integrity about what we say is unquestionable. And that again calls for well thought vision. Just don't come to people and say, we are doing this. Oh, so it's not feasible. And the next morning you're telling them, no, we cannot continue with it because we have just realized that this one cannot be realized. And then the next morning you're bringing another different agenda. No one will stand by that, because they'll just simply say, okay, as he or she led us into a failure yesterday, the same will happen this time around. And therefore, I think, again, I'll be modest to simply say, grace, and I'm afraid to say luck, has been on my side, but at least grace has been on my side.
And how are you mobilizing the necessary funds for all these projects that you
Yeah, the same way. So I say, okay, we have done our groundworks. You have understood me saying this. I believe this is for our benefit and the benefit of those who will come after, even we are gone. Like every one of us, at some point in time, has benefited for something that was done by someone who is not living today. They are all dead, but they did these things for us. And today we are enjoying the benefit using them. We cannot just live and use what other people worked for. We need to do for other people who cannot do for themselves and for our generations. So when I say, okay, so please, let's contribute into this, whatever that you can, regardless of what value, but whatever that you can, in kind or in material terms. And so that has been the way. Our investment is worth billions of shillings. We have never had any coin from outside this congregation, but instead we have been giving money to other congregations and even to other churches.
What are the obstacles and challenges that you face in implementing this vision of Diaconia?
We are a church within the community and within the country with changing paradigms or shifting paradigms in terms of the culture of people, the politics of the country, social life of people. There is some kind of an abyss that never used to exist between people of different faiths in our country. Getting into this kind of investments, it needs collaboration. It needs some very clear scheme of cooperation between us as a faith-based organization, government agencies and government organs. So you go to the government and then what about a person in that office is of a different faith? So bringing that partnership between church and other stakeholders. How do we make another Christian denomination that is within our scope or boundaries see that what we are doing is for our all benefit, generally at large, and make them participant of the same?
What are you doing to overcome this?
We have tried so hard to work with the government, to be positive to the government, to encourage the government, sometimes criticize the government, but use open opportunities to bring the government into the understanding of what we are doing. And then people of other faiths, like we have invested money in the school. Many of the kids there are not Christians. And then when the parents have a meeting, they come for PA system here, they come for the chairs, and then sometimes they will invite me, come and say some few words just to acknowledge that we are within the vicinity. And then when I go there, I'm building that bridge. I'll use to go and say, okay, people, we are one. We are different when we go into our house of worships, but outside our house of worships, we are all people. We are all Tanzanians. Our enemies are the same. Our enemies are ignorant. Our enemies are poverty. Our enemies are diseases. We need to work together, and every one of us has to bring what they have to address these challenges. So when they come, we serve them, we respect them, we make them feel at home. Now, that gap which used to exist, like, oh, that's the church, we are the government. Last time, I think it was about 2 months ago, I walked in, and there was a meeting, and it's about the education personnel at a high level in our zone. And luckily, I was visited by our provost for Tudaco and his 2 assistants. So, oh, and then I have education bosses from the church. Let me take these education people heading our university to greet the government education bosses, because these are stakeholders. They should work together. And when we move in, after greeting, I say, okay, so one of you should be paid for their master's degree studies, half by my parish, half by Tudaco. You should get out someone who should be sponsored. I'll pay 2 million shillings, Tudaco will pay 1 million shilling, but this person has to go and study in Tudaco. Okay, you see, that's different way we've been using to build this partnership and bond between us as different players, but intending to address the same challenge. The congregation has employed hundreds of people now. The congregation is serving the children already. The congregation is running pre and primary school with over 700 pupils. The school that is only 2.5 years old. And now people are happy. They know that, okay, we know where to go and worship, but where to take our children for a school. And even the government now knows when they pick a thrown child out there, they should scavenge and bring them to us. And we have always been with an open receiving hands.
If you could start all over again, is there something that you would maybe do in a different way, if you could?
To do anything different will simply means, had I known, I would started with the right footing from the beginning. This is something that now comes almost halfway the journey. So much of energy, so much of resources have gone elsewhere. Yeah. Just, it's never late in life as long as life lives. But for someone who is starting, they should know they have been called just not to preach, but is to preach and do. How to do? Then again, we need knowledge, understanding, skills, technicalities. That is where we need this course and other courses.
You were among the first to finish the International Diaconia Master Program in UEM. Can you give us your view on what is the special thing about this program?
And I pity you that you have never been beneficiaries of this, but it's very special. Speaking of the texture of the course itself, it is interdisciplinary. They bring so much of knowledge and tailor it together, and then teach you how to interpret it into your context, taking from every other discipline, as of that interdisciplinarity, using not so much of details, but at least the basics of many of these other disciplines to serve the divine biblical cause or biblical calling. That's very unique.
So thank you very much for all the things you've explained to us. What are the contributions of the church, of the parish, especially the southern part, to the whole program of Diaconia Master Course? What did your church do?
When the missionaries came and brought the gospel, they give the best out of their rest. After so many years and centuries, we cannot afford to support a fellow brother or sister on our right hand or left hand because we are poor. This cause helped me out of that. I spoke to the council of my church elders. I said, okay guys, we need to pay for the school fees of, I think we paid for 2 of the scholars. And we said, they are Asians, they are Africans. We don't want the Asians, we don't want the Africans. We want the Germans. Why? Because we needed to make it two-way traffic. It can come from that end and be received on this end. It can also come from this end and be received on the other end. It should not be one side giving and the other side receiving. And so we say, this cause teaches us to assume our responsibilities realistically and be honest to our faith and our calling and to be genuine to our life. Because it's true we can afford as a parish more than many of the parishes can afford in Germany. It's true. But we just don't want to because we have been of this mentality and mindset that we are just meant to receive. And the Bible says, better to give than to receive. So we're very proud and very happy. That feeling of satisfaction that we have been able to put some stone somewhere. Even this time, even this year, I think the students are there and we have been consulted whether we'll be able to do something more. It's just unfortunate because of the corona challenges. We haven't been able to register our commitment, but it doesn't mean we have dispelled and divorced ourselves from that. This cause is our calling, and I think we'll always be there with something. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Mastai, for this interview. Thank you very much.